provide me a nice outline, say, this is how you plan it. But it turns out that most of us have done that, so this really isn't too relevant. Besides that, there's not room enough even for the simple plan I'm going to give you today. So this is my plan. Like most plans, it's in focus in some places, very fuzzy out of focus in other places, short term in some places, and long term in others. And like everybody else's plans, it continually changes. My plan this month is probably different than my plan next month. So this is my plan as it stands, October 13th, 2018. And Toastmasters requires that I come back in 2 or 3 months and tell you how I did fulfilling my plan. We'll see how that works. I'm sure all of you have had plans dictated by your bosses. Say, we will win 30% of the market for left-handed people features in Germany by this time next year. And you all know how well those plans work out, right? And you have been a little bit irritated when your boss held you to those plans. Well, please don't hold me to my plan, because it's a direction. It's where I'm going, but it's not something I'm going to achieve in any specific timeline. Okay, here's my plan. How to have grandchildren. First thing, I need to educate the children I have now. I'm very involved in educating Eddie, whom you know, because Eddie jumped from Sadic to 2nd grade, and he doesn't really have the Ukrainian and the English language skills to do it. And his problems in Ukrainian bleed over into math. He can do all the arithmetic fine, but he doesn't understand the problem. So Daddy and Eddie sit down every night and work on his Ukrainian and math together. And since my Ukrainian is marginal, it's a great learning experience for both of us. So underneath the big goal of grandchildren comes the next one, Eddie's education, and under that comes learn Ukrainian, because I need to keep up with him. And the other thing I need to do is to teach him English. He speaks English pretty well, but he doesn't know the alphabet terribly well, and he can't read and write, so that's a secondary goal. So that's the big thing, is to work with Eddie, and the main overarching goal for this year is to make him self-confident enough that he can study on his own, that he doesn't need me sitting by him. And we're already a large part of the way there, because whenever he can, he says, Daddy, go away, I'll do it myself. And I applaud that. That's the right attitude. Then the other part of his education, vision, this part, is to teach him how to be a real Chilovek, a real person. We had great progress last year. He went from riding with training wheels in spring to riding on a 6-speed bicycle, and he can go any place in Kiev with me. I'm so proud of him. He knows how to use a bicycle. It's so liberating for a kid. Other thing he's done, he's learned how to cook pretty well. He can cook all sorts of things. And he's learned how to make a barbecue. His birthday is next week. He's going to be 7. And he's going to take paper, sticks, and matches and make that barbecue fire for the barbecue. Pretty good for a kid who's just turning 7. So that's the other thing. His education and the other things in life. Then comes subtopic, myself. How am I going to keep up with him for another 20 years? Stay in shape. I used to use, until last year, a velotrenageur, squirrel machine, which, that's a laugh line. You're supposed to like squirrel machine. Belka machine? Oh, no laugh. Okay, well, enough of that. And I used that until last year, and I got my heart rate up to 140, which doctors say you should never do when you're 75 years old, but I did it anyhow. Except I kept catching cold, so I quit. And now I use the bicycle to go to school with Eddie every day, and to go to the market in Livo-Berezhny a few times a week, and to go on excursions. So I'm biking, and I walk a lot. So that's stay in shape physically. The other thing that you notice is that when you get to be my age, people start to get a little bit in the head. My former wife's father, by the time he was my age, couldn't talk anymore. He had Parkinson's disease. So they say that the best thing to do about that is to keep on doing new things. So learning Ukrainian, teaching 6th graders and 7th graders, teaching a 2nd grader, teaching in a school, I'm teaching Eddie, and giving speeches and, reviewing books for Amazon, that's keeping my head in shape. So that's another part of the plan. Another part of the plan is to show Eddie a model of how to live. And this is the hardest of all. I'm showing him how to live with a wife. Not an easy thing to do, but the most satisfying thing in the world if you can manage to do it right. So how to resolve differences, how to get around arguments, how to live together satisfactorily. Because if I want to have grandchildren, that's got to be part of the plan. He has to marry successfully. One thing I'm happy about, Eddie loves girls. Girls love Eddie. This is a very good start. I applaud him, and yay, go Eddie. So that's what we're doing. So we're providing a model for him and how to live. Okay, so that is pretty much wraps up my plan. Now, as far as the timeline goes, there could be no realistic timeline for any of this stuff. These timelines are for the bosses who want you to market Beetle features. But I'm, just like when I came here to Ukraine, I'm going to do it as fast as I can. Now I want to tell you the first step I'm taking to implement my vision. Tomorrow I'm going to give a speech that I chose that I want to give. I'm going to go to Svaya Rubashka, deliver a speech in Russian about the month I spent with the Kyiv Indians in the Amazon rainforest 14 years ago. That's a subject I really love. What's your thought?
Great. That was a very funny speech, I remember it.
Teachers, my brother, my sister, and my small brother, they are teachers. But I will talk about my childhood teacher. I live in east of Turkey. There are culture, your family and your parents don't show your love to you. They are like your boss, not your family. They talk with you like a boss. When we went to school, we see that our teacher name is called Berna. She always smiling and she do something for us, joking. We feel we are a human now because we don't see the boss and joking and give us gift. Oh, we see it's good. We don't want to go home and go someplace like that. We just want to stay in school. They show us, and not just for math and some things. They show us joking and the life and everything. My idea is that school is really important and teacher really important because we send our children, teachers see our children more than us. They teach them everything and for life and for future. But when you hear something bad about that, I heard 3 months ago she had a cancer, about her situation. You feel down and you are changed all your mind. You see your life will change because she is gone. Your happiness gone with your teacher. And I'm sorry, I collected some things I forget to correct. And I think it's the conclusions about teacher of life. We will learn everything from teacher more than our family, and it's about life. That's it.
I respect statistics as a subject you cannot separate from the computer. Statistics only came alive when people had electronic calculating machines. I dispute that very strongly. That is something I found out the hard way because when I first came to Ukraine, I wanted to teach English, but that in fact was not really the background of what I used to teach in the UK, in the university in the UK. I've been teaching engineering and some of the quantitative aspects of engineering. But when I got, they didn't want me for that in the university where I was briefly employed there. And they said, well, okay, but we do need somebody to teach statistics. I said, that's fine, I've done statistics. You know, I know that we like that the reason that for every Jaguar car you see in Tokyo, here's the statistics coming up, I've never been to Tokyo, but for every Jaguar car you see in Tokyo, there are about 50 Mitsubishis and Japanese cars in London. Why should this be? Really, because somebody had got hold of the simple fact, the idea, which is not a quantitative idea, that if you're mass producing something, if the car you're making today is not better than the car you were making yesterday, you're going backwards. Yes? Every day making the same thing should be an experience which you add to it, and that was the strength of statistics in my limited experience. We have now a beekeeper in our midst, and we've got a red card there. The beekeeper, I'm sure, will wish to comment privately or otherwise later on. Madam,
Okay.
topics.
About the fact that they don't have social media. Like, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't have videos in it, or I don't have Instagram. Like, they're committing a crime, they don't have Instagram and post every hour their food or their clothes. So I learned that in modern world, it's very much heavily advertised for people to advertise their life as if they have perfect life, a lot of money, they travel to Europe or to America every month, and if they don't, they are losers. So children are indoctrinated with that, and they don't want to feel like outcasts, so that they have to have Instagram and post their food pictures or their makeup pictures from a very early age, from elementary school. And I think it's important for children to show them what real life is like, and that it's different from the life that people show on social media to feel better about themselves. Because studies show that people become depressed if they watch on Facebook lives of other people, especially their children, because they believe that they have this perfect life and they don't Photoshop or anything, or that they don't know that they don't mention the problems they have and the negative things that they have in their life. So I think that everyone should think about the part of the medal that we don't see. Like the medal that Timur has, it has the very smart person written on the front, but we don't know what is written on the back side.
Also, go as a captain to the Europe, particularly to the Greece, and I travel with my family. I don't know what it will be, because I was like an organizer of the trip, and I had many nervous situations. But when we came there, I don't have any problem, because before this I evaluate some of the bad situations that can happen, and then when we travel we don't have any problem. We just enjoy the traveling, and all were happy, and this gives me much development, because I get very much new information. I speak with many different people. I get much experience from them, and it's just very good. When you're traveling, you get very much joy, because we are like human. We need to discover something. We need to get something new, to do something new, and I think it's great to travel and to discover something new for you.
Learning is usually, and free courses are usually a great thing. And if I would probably choose something, I will have something that has practical meaning. And probably that would be cooking. I do not cook very often because my children grown up now they live separately from parents, so they start cooking themselves. But still, it would be nice to learn something new in this area. Well, somehow to enrich our life with my husband. I would also like to share you, well, as you have understood, I like something that has practical meaning. And once, when I was younger, 10 years ago, I was sent to courses for ACCA. I know that you probably will understand me what's this about. This is Global Organization for Accounting, and there are huge books, and you usually spend all your weekends studying them. You go to the lectures, then you have some workshops, and at the end you should pass very difficult exams. And you are absolutely happy if you do this. You should reach 51% of all questions in the quiz. So once I was going home and I was carrying a bag with these heavy books. I was just given like just bundle of 5 really heavy books. And a young man catched me and just stopped me and said, "May I help you with your bag?" I say, "You'll not stole it?" Well, probably not. You know, that's rather heavy. What's this? I say, "That's accounting books, textbook, accounting textbooks." And then you know what he said? He said, "You know, like 5 years ago, I also went to the same building, and I'm also an auditor, and I participated in the courses, so I know what these heavy books are about." So it was like the birds of the same feather flock together. So that was the moral of the story and my practical courses that I participated.
Really, this is a great emotion of human beings. This is the emotion, the kind of love is distinguish us from the other animal world. So only human beings are able to love each other, to love. For example, even to love for yourself. This is a great condition, great possibility to attitude to other people and even for yourself. How do you love? How do you love people? And what do you do during the life to improve your environment by this great emotion? First of all, I'd like to underline that love, of course, this is an engine, this is a driver of our movement in life. Because without the love, we were dead. And first of all, this is the kindness. To be always should to be kind for nearest people, for our friends, for the people who are around us, because we were living in a very stressful environment. And to cope, to easier the relationship, of course, we need to show some beautiful emotions as love. Thank you very much.
I'm learning not, I would say, skill, but it's actually more, I'm learning a new stuff on work. So I'm learning I'm having a lot of to do, and I'm learning how to cope, to learn the stuff, to go to English. Also, I want to take a part and do some dances, and also in between to sleep and to eat, because 2 last weeks, 3 weeks before, I had only walking and sleeping and eating. It was like this. But in between I wanted to not only to walk, but maybe to chill, to have a good company with. Anyway, I'm having sometimes difficulties or maybe hard work at my job. Anyway, I have a good company and people near me. So when we also are working, the people that are near us, when you came to the office, you are happy, you are smiling, because there are who make you smile. And back to this question. Now I'm trying to cope with a lot of things and to motivate myself to do this, because sometimes you're not enough slept well, or maybe not enough even to eat, but anyway I'm trying to cope and figure out everything in my life. So,
some time ago I have made a speech on the 5 languages of love, and it is actually a book about how to love people in the right way. So to know how to love people in the right way, that they actually know that they are loved, you can develop your vision on how to see what they need to feel loved. For example, some people need to be touched to feel loved. They need to be hugged every time. They need to be kissed. They need to be holding hands with you. Some people need the quality time. Some people need that you come to them, that you spend time together, not just watch TV together or something like that, or just sit with your phone. Some people need to be given presents. Some people need even one flower, but some people need to have something to remind that they are loved. Some people need help because one person can say a lot of times that I love you, I adore you, but if they can't come to me when I am ill, that they can't make me a cup of tea when I'm ill, I don't feel loved. And some people just need those words, those simple words that every day to be said, that you are loved, I love you, you are the love of my life. Some people need that. So those 5 languages of love: the quality time, the touch, the help, the presence, and the words of love. And if you develop those 5 languages of love, and most importantly, if you know what your partner needs to feel loved, then I think you have learned how to love in a right way.
About the requirements of the speech. So I just want to remind you that the brand of speech develop your vision. So there was 3 choices for this speech. It was like personal development, like development in the professional field, or maybe for organization, which you mentioned at the beginning. And that's good that he actually came and he gave us this information, so we could see what it is about. So and Graham very, kind of like logically and tactically came to the point. So he said about his like professional career, then he said about the vision about the organization he is connected to, and that he said the only choice I have is personal life. And we did it great. So anyway, I want to just go ahead point by point and just say that your speech, your ideas were very clear. And they were clear because of the vividness, because of the clarity, and because of your gestures. So when I saw you here, you just immediately make like the space. So your gestures were very good. So the body language. So in this way, I just saw not only you, but also your children and grandchildren all over. It was like really visionary. So thank you for this. It was perfect. Eye contact. No comments, grammatically good one, so it was not too much, not distracting, and also I quite right to the point. Audience awareness. Everybody is interested about family matters, and I think it's important for everybody, unless you're a monk or nun. So we don't have monks, right? Okay. Anyway, then comfort level. I felt comfortable, and the interest that, was anybody here in the audience who was not interested in what Graham was talking about? Was anybody? No? Yes, no. Okay, so I put actually 5 for this, out of 5. Generally, choice of topic, everything was perfect, and the only one small thing which I want to mention. Besides, Graham did like his speech overall, like, and he fulfilled like 100% all requirements. Very small remark about the ending. At the ending, I would just recommend to put at next time a little more power to the end, so the people could feel, you know, this last impression and just stay with it. Okay, my pleasure. Thank you very much.